What's going on, everybody? My name is Chrispy Divine, Central Mass Vapors, and as you can see, I'm torn between two of the hottest sub-ohm tanks in the business these days. Everybody's talking about it. If you go through Facebook or Twitter or Reddit or wherever, someone's asking the big question, what sub-ohm tank should I get? It was like Aspire came out with the Atlantis, and then everybody else and their mother was like, oh, I wonder if that's a good idea. It's like, why weren't they already thinking it? I know I was. Talk about innovation. Now, there's plenty of videos on YouTube talking about head-to-heads and, you know, which one's this and which one's that. So we're going to kind of do it a little differently. At least it's different to me because I haven't watched them all, just a few. And we're going to talk about two of the heavy hitters right now. And really what I want to look at is why would one want one more than the other? So here's what we got. We got the Arctic tank, sub-ohm tank by HorizenTech, and we got the Delta 2 by Joytech, okay? I know you guys have heard both of these names, and I'm sure, if not most of you, have probably tried them, okay? So really, when the Atlantis came out, it was a huge ordeal, right? Because it was the first time we had taken a tank system and we added in what everyone loves to do when vaping is sub-ohm, right? So it started with the 0.5 ohm coil. Now, I don't know if it was HorizenTech that was sitting at home saying, why don't we go lower? But they did. So they introduced a 0.2 ohm coil. I went ahead and I picked up the Arctic Subtank. Now, the cool part about the Arctic Subtank and even the Joytech Delta is they're priced pretty much, you know, affordable for anybody. And the other part of it that's cool is that you can replace these coils in each one. And even the coils aren't going to run you, you know, $30–40, maybe $20 for a 5-pack, which is expensive, I suppose, when you're comparing it to an iClear 16 where you could buy a 5-pack for $10. But we're dealing with a little bit more of an involved technology, so of course it's going to be a little bit more, okay? So the big differences here, at least, are the fact that in one, I have a 0.2 ohm coil. Coils are pretty solid. The Joytech has the pre-built coils, and it is a 0.5 ohm coil. I will say this about this. This has also been pretty spot on. So obviously each tank has different guts, okay? They both have different, you know, stuff inside that make them work, okay? But for me, for the sake of keeping it simple and for the sake of being normal, I know, like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I do like to watch those down and dirty, get in there and talk about every little thing. But for me, when it comes down to it, when I buy a tank, all I want to know is it good flavor and how's the airflow, okay? So the Arctic Subtank comes out with this big thing about turbine, you know, turbine whatever, right? So of course people start shooting it down. There's no moving parts in there, and then somebody else will say, well, that's not what they meant by it, this is what they meant. I don't care. To me, if it doesn't do something miraculous, like make it work, like for instance, the Turbo RDA, does that Turbo RDA, does that little, you know, fan inside actually do something? Or is it just there as a gimmick? If it's just there as a gimmick, then I got no time for it, right? So for me, when I hear people going on and on about this turbine, whatever, I don't care if it works or not, as long as it doesn't cost me more money to have it in there, and as long as it doesn't make it more difficult to use, then I don't mind, as long as it's still performing well. So how does the Arctic Subtank perform? Well, let's try it out. I've had this thing on regulated, I've had it on mechanicals, and it works beautifully on both. That 0.2 ohm coil is really, really nice. So right now I have it on my Sigelli 150 watt. I got it cranked up to about 65 watts. I'm getting about 3.9 volts. And let's see how it performs. And I've got the airflow opened all the way. Now you can't complain about the vapor production, right? But who cares about vapor production if it tastes like shit? This doesn't taste like shit. Wide open, I get really good flavor. Like I said before, the coils, they are OCC coils. They have that cotton inside, so you're not dealing with any weird wicking material. The flavor in it is really good, and especially for having it so airy, it's terrific. Now, if we shut it down, what's going to happen? You're right, that little one in the corner answering the question. It's going to give you more flavor. It may give you less clouds, gives you more flavor. Let's see if that works. Vapor production is still pretty solid. Better flavor? Yes, it's going to give you a more intense flavor. With this airflow system, I can actually close this down to where it's just barely opened. And it's then where you could really take advantage of those mouth to lung hits. And if that's what you're into, it's going to work great. Watch, I'll show you. Less vapor, a little warmer, definitely more intense flavor. I have a custard in there, which is my first whack at having a vanilla custard in a tank. I've never done it before. So it's a little bit different than dripping, but you're still getting that RDA feeling with the vapor production and the flavor. But when you close it down, it becomes warmer, and then the flavor, it takes on a life of its own. Not burnt, but almost like you can taste the heat to it. But it's, I don't know if that makes any sense. But either way, another big thing about these tanks is how easy it is to fill. Because I'll tell you, with things out there like the Orchid, screw you, Orchid, I hate you. I don't know if it's because it's a clone, which I'm getting rid of them all anyway, but it just sucks to try to fill it up. I know that if I get it filled up once and it doesn't leak, which it always does on me, then when I try to refill it, it's going to leak again. So I don't even bother with it anymore. The Arctic Subtank, super, super simple. It's kind of like that old school Kanger. You take it out, you tip it upside down, you take off the bottom, and you just, very, very simple. And you close it up. It never leaks on me. I have not had any gurgling. I've just had really, really good performance. And yeah, you do have the option if you want to change out your drip tips, you can if that's a big deal to you. Yeah, so good stuff right there. The next tank is the Delta 2. Now, I like Joytech stuff, so I was really excited to get this. And for the most part, it looks really slick. I got the black one, which I love. The drip tip's kind of weird looking, but you can change them out with other drip tips, so that's not a big deal. Drip tips are just not my thing, so to me, you'll always see the stock one on there or whatever. The Joytech is another sub-ohm tank. These come with the 0.5 ohm coils, which to me is just fine with me, right? Exactly. Okay, so what do we got here? I get this on my IPV Mini. I got it at 45 watts. I'm getting 5 volts with a 0.5 ohm coil. This is wide open airflow, and let's try and see if it can outperform that damn Arctic Subtank by HorizenTech. I'm getting just the best flavor from this. And I have my Andromeda in there, and we all know how much I like that Andromeda. And it's working really, really well. I have found myself with the Delta closing it off about halfway, and that has just been a sweet spot for me. You can close this up all the way till it's barely open, and it's a little harder. But if you leave it just a little tiny bit open, you can definitely get those mouth-to-lung hits if you like it. I've been leaving it about halfway. Crazy airflow. It gives it a little bit of a, holds it back just a little bit. Been very, very pleased with this. This is also a very easy tank to fill. As long as you have something that has a smaller head to it when you in a bottle, like even like a dripper, everything's been working for it. Very simple. You just, again, same exact idea. You take off the bottom, you twist it off. It's very easy to get off. And you go on and get it in between the like the chimney part and the outside of the tank. These come with these 3 little like three sections. I believe it's three, 1, 2, and 3, where you can see the little windows. I don't know if that's for any reason. One thing that stands out from this is it has this little thing inside on the coil that allows you to open up the coils, which it's like a leak valve. I mean, like a juice valve or something. I don't know what the point of that is. I haven't really explored it or anything. But again, looks-wise, I think the Delta has it down. Performance-wise, I think it's a draw. They both work very well, and we're really not comparing apples to apples here because one's a 0.5 and one's a 0.2. I don't think the Delta has the 0.2 ohm coils, but there is one major factor that changes it a little bit and makes me go to the Delta a little bit more, and that is because... Drum roll, please. The Delta 2 comes with an RBA head, so you can actually rebuild yourself on this, okay? That to me makes a huge difference. Like the Arctic Subtank, you can use it as a tank with the pre-made heads, coils, whatever, or you can take it apart and you can put the other RBA section on and use it like that. The one major difference is unlike the Arctic Subtank, I don't have to change the rest of the Delta in order to use the RBA head. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've ever seen a Arctic Subtank, when you want to change the RBA head from the regular coils, you have to change the top part of the Arctic Subtank. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really hurt anybody, but it's just an extra step. With this, you don't. I have not used it yet, and I can't wait to try it. But it looks really promising. So, yeah, I love both of these tanks. They're both my go-tos right now. I've really been using tanks more than anything. So I would really suggest, if you are out in the market, either the Sub Tank for those 0.2 ohm coils and crazy good airflow and flavor, or the Delta for that RBA section and that friggin' airflow, easy to fill, and the sexy appealing look to this thing. All big pluses in my book. So, to answer your question, get one of each, like I did. Keep peeled eyes, because I am going to be coming up with a few videos, some reviews on some of my new gear. We got juice times coming out the bum. I have this amazing story to tell you about a crazy birthday present that I received. Please check out my other YouTube channel where I talk solely about the show Empire. Just kidding, not yet anyway. Have a wonderful day. Vape on, get involved, stay vaping, and come back for more. Peace out. Peace out.